Project X-Parsec, the end of the beginning, the trillion-year chronicle future timeline of humanity. In the year of 2101, 57 years after World War III, humanity was super advanced, with possibilities of exploring the natures of our universe after so many wars. The United States of America had many agreements before this time after World War III, but the collapse of the UN, United Nations, replaced with the World Order, otherwise known as the WO. This new order would decide where and when nations should do what it shall and might along with the goal of world peace. But on 2119, Russia, United Russian Province, would find this of an oppressive act of the United States of America. The Russians would soon create the government known as the Law, in an agreement with India, Germany, Mongolia, and other nations. This would be known as the opposing agreement. The USA, trying to keep world peace, would make agreements with the opposing alliance, but their intentions with how the world should be ran would always overshine or intercept each other, causing conflicts among the politics between these alliances. These arguments would act on until 2126, where reported killing and attacking of the law's men were towards the world order's men. The reported attacker and shooter was Vladimir Vandilev, a high political leader of the Russian government. Other attackers consisted of Shan Ming from Ganta, a part of modern China, Gamal Trevor from Romania, and Ayman Hundi from India. There were 9 reported victims, with 6 of them being heavily injured, while 3 were filed deceased, being of Airman Shepard, Daniel Kerman, and Charles Benin III. This one event caused a serious outburst to the public, as what the public wanted and forever wanted was peace, but they were at cases of political arguments, so they protested at the Russian capital of St. Petersburg, where the Russian military had to be involved of how big the protest was. The protest soon became too crowded, where the Russian government decided on one option: to kill the protesters. Over 900 people were reported dead, with an estimated 2,000 other possible casualties along with it. As tensions rose, more and more political figures and rich men would immediately go to Mars, as they had already knew highly possible outcomes of this situation: war. The USA would activate a new powerful AI known as AHI, meaning artificial hyperintelligence. This A.HI was dubbed Maven, purposed for strategic defenders of lands for the W.O. China would create their own AHI dubbed Gene, built to oppress captured citizens of other nations. Russians would follow with activating their A.HI, dubbed Charles, to have offensive capabilities. Other civilizations would also follow with these A.HIs, creations and activations all around the globe. As the war ensued, political, popular, and rich figures would make it to Mars after their 7-month journey, but they weren't safe either. The Ukrainian president didn't go to Mars like the others, as he believed that a leader should always be with his country, to represent it, to suffer with it, to fight with it, to support it, to die with it. Although the political, rich, popular figures believed that they were safe, a terrorist group known as the TGPNIE, meaning the True Group Protector of National Individuals of Earth, they would secretly sneak into one of their rockets and make their way to Mars, where they would have a goal of assassinating those who left their nation and who didn't support or represent their nation. After a few decades of constant terrorism on Mars, all the TGP and IE would be killed, with a total of 220,900 members found in total. Over 1.2 million deaths were reported on Mars, most consisting of popular, rich, and political figures. On Earth, the world became an apocalypse, where the world was set on fire, with machines everywhere destroying the planet. A famous quote from High Commanding Sergeant by the name of William Shepard would say this: the world was once a beautiful place of joy, but now humanity turned it into hell. Everywhere you look, there is only war. The fire blazes high, with the ruins and rubble of buildings in which that used to stretch far up into the sky. Once blue, now is just filled with by machines of man sending bombs down to the ground where only destruction can be found. This quote doesn't exaggerate anything, but only describes what he sees: war, death, destructions, and losses of hope. World War IV would last for 414 years after it had started, where the population of Earth could be comparable to the population of bugs in a house. On 2580, where World War IV had ended, humanity was left into rubble, where only approximate 417 million humans will live out of the original 1.3 trillion. Humanity was reduced to live mostly like scavengers, looking of technology and supplies. Soon, the first civilization formed after the war, dubbed the Kingdom of Skunj. Other civilizations would also arise, like the Imperials, the Kush, and so on. Then, around 2710, a boy of the name of Kejganil would be inspired by old history with their historical figures. At the age of 14, he would start his own nation, named the United Government of Earth. Names like these were common, but they were never truly successful. But this one would turn that to a true legendary story of conquest. He would rule his nation like a dictator, where he would commence World V, where he'll have a 90-year conquest of taking over the world, discover new old technologies, and advance themselves into absolute victory. He would do what humans of the old era do: explore from space to land to ocean to everywhere. The United Government of Earth would soon be the dominant figure of humanity on Earth, where Kedge, now 107, is choosing the way his nation should be governed. Where he chooses a democratic government, where he'd share his best and last speech to man. Man has the freedom to conquer, explore, and more. But what's important is to keep each other with one they trust, where they would be an argument to our beautiful nation of humanity, where life, property, and freedom should be followed throughout our infinite history, of the closest we'll ever truly have to world peace. All of humanity on Earth would live prosperous lives until an invasion, but not internal, but external. The humans on Mars would slowly evolve to become more taller, lankier, thinner. Their technology was powerful, with great machines and strategies. They worked mostly through newly developed, very intelligent A.H.I. named Yabetska for offensive powers, George for defensive powers, and Lucy for governing powers. The humans on Mars were dubbed the Kremlers. The Kremlers would invade Earth as they wanted what were originally theirs: power, wealth, so on. The Kremlers were powerful as they explored the rest of the solar system, turning Jupiter into a powerful energy source by converting the gas stage matter into plasma, where they would make heat rays, powerful reactors for energy, and so on. Humanity on Earth would have become defeated by the Kremlers if it was only a few in only a few weeks, but a teen girl by the name of Caroline Smith would find something out. Caroline Smith was only 16 years old, but she found the database for the AHIs the Kremlers ran on. The code, meaning in the English language, called cheese. With this new found a knowledge for the United Government of Earth would allow them to turn the Kremlers' own A.HIs against them, allowing for an almost lost victory.